Welcome back to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And we love filling your cup full of valuable information. That's why we're honored to have with us Dr. Jemima Organ, a member of the Motivational Interviewing Network of Trainers. We'll talk all about what motivational interviewing is and also how that applies as a tool for servant leadership. So, Dr. Organ, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you very much for hosting me. I am honored to be on your talk show today. Is it talk show, podcast?
All the
Thank you very
above.
much.
Exactly. So this is a big focus for you and your dissertation and so much more when you talk about motivational interviewing and it being a tool for servant leadership. But before we talk about that, give us a little bit of your background and how you got interested in this field.
Okay, my background actually, my first and my second degree is in psychology and counseling. And so I've done counseling for many years. Actually, it's close to 30 years now. And so I have listened to a lot of people talk about their issues, their problems, and I've helped, people I've helped to train people in getting unblocked and setting them in a place where they can actually be able to move forward in life. We know that life happens. And so that's what I've done, for the past many years. I have helped people that, so that is where my whole motivational interviewing and servant leadership comes in. And then the counseling side of me is that. And then I have been involved in my country, as you can hear my accent. I am originally from Kenya, born and raised in Kenya. I did my part of my education there, and then I came to the US to do my PhD. And my PhD is in motivation. It is in organizational information and learning sciences. That is a lot of learning that happens in the place of work. Does learning actually take place? When you send people for training, or is it just that you're giving information and people are just taking time out to go for trainings, and then when they come back, they never practice. So the PhD is focused on ensuring that learning is actually taking place in institutions. So how did I now come to thinking about motivational interviewing and servant leadership? I think it's because working in the counseling world and having been trained in motivational interviewing by the father of motivational interviewing, who is Dr. Miller himself. He trained me, he coached me, and he's my mentor. So we keep talking back and forth. And I thought to myself, this motivational interviewing, it works. It works in the counseling field. I see my clients come in, I use it, and I see them and they get motivated and they make changes in their lives. So what I do, I eventually after 5, 6, 7 sessions, and I start seeing the light bulb, it turns on, and people get excited and say, yes, I'm going to do this, and I will do this, and I will do this, and that. So I thought to myself, when I was doing my PhD, which is organizational information and learning sciences, a lot to do with organizational development, which talks a lot about change management. There is change management, and there is also how do you motivate your employees. So I thought to myself, this counseling, this psychological method, it actually works in the clinical world. And right now there are thousands, hundreds of trials that have been done, clinical trials that are proving, that are actually showing that motivational interviewing does help in behavior change. So I thought to myself, why not bring it into the organizations? And so what happened, because Dr. Miller was training me, and he's the father of this motivational interviewing. I went to him and asked him, Dr. Miller, how come you never? It's not in the counseling in the organizations like it is it's a very well-known therapy that works in the clinical worlds. How come it's not in organizations? Because I'm doing my PhD and all I'm hearing, change management. How do you help people change the behavior? How do you motivate people? And I'm thinking that we seem to have a key here. And so he said, Jemima, I have never thought about that. What I thought about is how to focus, how to help people who have, addiction behavior, addiction issues. And that is what I focused on, smoking cessation, alcohol, substance use and abuse. That is what I focused on. So you run with this. So I took it up and I ran with it. And then another good thing is that I was in this program, and I will mention his name, Dr. Victor Law, Professor Victor Law. He introduced us to the PhD program. I know when you're doing your PhD, you're all thinking, oh my goodness, this is a high level of education. What is this about? Am I going to, am I competent? Can I, you have all this self-doubt, after really doing very well in your master's and shining there. When you come to the PhD program, it's a very humbling process. So he walked us through, Dr. Victor Law. The first, the course that we did with him, it was like an introduction to PhD. And he said, start thinking about your dissertation now. 6 years look like it's a long way ago, but before you know it, you'll be there. And if you're not careful, you will reach there and you will not know what to do. And it will be you'll have wasted a lot of time. So start thinking about it. So for me, because I knew that I wanted to do motivational interviewing in organizations, I thought to myself, how can I fit in motivational interviewing in this organizational development course? So that is a bit of the background. And so I started finding out how can it fit in here? How can it fit in, and with all the courses that we did, I realized that where it fitted in was in leadership. And again, the different styles of leadership, the one that fitted in was like a glove was servant leadership.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and define, when you talk about motivational interviewing, you've kind of been alluding to it throughout, is, what started kind of in the world of counseling and an intervention, coming alongside someone through a difficult circumstance to give them the internal motivation to create the change. Mm-hmm. You all of a sudden see, okay, here's an opportunity in an organizational setting to use this as an opportunity. So describe motivational interviewing.
Okay, motivational interviewing is a collaborative communication style that taps into the internal motivation, intrinsic motivation of an individual to help them to move forward, to get motivated. So that is kind of like the definition of motivational interviewing. But when it comes to one of the things that according to research, when you tell people what to do, you are actually immunizing them against what you're telling them what to do. So what do? Draw it out of them. Draw it out of them. Ask them questions. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? How can you go about this? Because that way, people will not put a block. They will not block you off. They will not feel intimidated. They will not feel threatened. And they will just start talking and talking and talking, and exploring. And you see, that is a very counseling kind of like approach, and so motivational interviewing draws from some person-centered counseling. It draws from person-centered counseling, where we create the environment. We create the environment, and this is done through participation. You invite the person to participate. You're not the expert. The person is an expert. They're the ones who know themselves. They know themselves better than you do. And so they're the ones who know what has happened to them, where they are at. It's only that now we try to tap it in, we try to ask them questions to get them to think. And then when they say, yes, I see this. Now I can see the connection. I can see this. And so when it comes to motivational interviewing, again, we come in the spirit of motivational interviewing. Participation, which is collaborating with a person, and then accepting the person without judgment, creating an unjudgmental environment. And then there's a PAC, compassion, having compassion for this person, and then empowering the person. So that is the spirit of motivational interviewing. And then after you've created that spirit of motivational interviewing, where the person is relaxed, then you can now start using the skill of now asking the questions. And this is now the open-ended questions, the affirming the person, reflective, listening, and summary. So in a nutshell, I've described motivational interviewing. And then there is that aspect of what do I ask? What questions do I ask? They're open-ended questions. And then what do I reflect on? And what we reflect on is what you're looking for is the desire. Does that person have the desire? Do they have do they have the ability? Do they have a reason for the change? Do they have a need to change? You see, so we are looking at all that, and we are listening to that, and we are reflecting. We are prodding them on. So that is a small description of motivational interviewing.
Yeah, good stuff. And already you're kind of painting the picture of some of the things that people can do to make those tweaks, right? And open-ended questions and the environment. Talk about where you like to start when you're sitting down with, a group that's hosting an event. And just like you kind of alluded to in the beginning, saying, okay, they're going to an event, they're hearing the information. Are they actually taking it to heart? Will it create change, or is it in one ear and out the other? So when you're sitting down with an organization and saying, okay, let's use motivational interviewing as a tool, let's start embedding this into the culture, where do you like to start taking them down that journey?
My entry point is usually the top management, because if the top management does not buy in, then you're not going anywhere. The executive, they're the ones who produce, who kind of like influence organization into the organizational culture. So it is coming into an organization. First, I think of the executive. Can I have an opportunity to have them buy in? If they buy in that, then they see the need, then it can easily trickle down. You see what I mean? Because then we're having leaders who have bought in and they're thinking, yes, we need to have this culture, Yet at the same time, I will not just say that is the only entry point. I have worked a lot with the middle-level managers who they were performing very well in their, in their work. And then they were promoted. And then what happened? They are not able to deal with this many people there. They're like, I was just doing my work. I do not know why I've been given all these people to work with. And now I'm just thinking, this is just too much for me. So then I help them, so that, and the thing is, the good thing is motivational interviewing. It actually relieves stress to the person to the leader. For us in the therapy world, it takes stress from you as a therapist, and for the leader, especially one who is micromanaging, calling all the time, you're on the phone all the time, finding out what has this happened, no. Empowering the people to be and to do, and that is what motivational interviewing is about. You motivate people to empower them to be able to think for themselves and to do and to be. So in organizations, I found that the middle-level managers that I've worked with, you're empowering them to be able to empower the people they are supervising, and also to give feedback to the executive and say, this is what we're getting on the ground, and this is what is happening on the ground. So what do you think about this and that? So yes, there are two levels of entries. To answer your question, there is the top management buy-in, try and train them, let them buy in, let them practice motivational interviewing with the people they're leading, and then let these other middle-level managers and supervisors in organizations also practice it. So it is not just a top down. It is anybody in the organization can actually practice it, but it becomes almost impossible for these middle-level managers to move the organization forward if the top management has not bought in the idea.
Give us a couple of your favorite questions, your favorite open-ended questions. And obviously it can vary, depending on the audience, but in general, what are a couple of your go-to favorite questions, or just bits of advice for someone who is a middle-level manager or a top executive? So, broad in terms of where you want to go with it, but just what are a couple of your favorite questions, a couple of your favorite tips?
One of the ones that I have encountered is, there's this person I trained, and I've had this question several times. it's like, so yes, this works and it is working with my supervisees. I can see them changing, but I'm having a problem with my supervisor, now the top management, So how do I go about it? How do I, you know, how do I, communicate to this my because he's pushing me or she is pushing me to do this, this, and that, and I know that that is going to be detrimental to the process that I have because I'm the one on the ground with the people. So what I encourage them to do is actually to be, candid and actually tell the top management that, I am actually learning. I've learned and I'm practicing a new management style, and it seems to be working with my supervisees. And this is how I go about it. What do you think? What do you think of it? So that you're actually telling your supervisor who is now in the executive and telling them this method that my coach has been teaching me is working, and I'm seeing very positive results for even some of the very difficult employees that we have. And what do you think about it? So that the what questions, what do you think about this? In the city current, Jeremy, what do you think are some of the ways that you can incorporate to grow your business? The what questions and how. How do you think you can go about it?
Just like you're saying, back to the empowering, right? Is you're getting their feedback, you're getting their buy, you're getting their ownership. It's their idea, so they're going to take ownership of it. And you're helping them navigate the course as, in a way, a mentor to help guide them. And I think, to your point, you're sitting alongside versus directly across. And changes the dynamic of creating what's possible as the vision moving forward.
And then another thing is for example, if you've had an employee who keeps coming late, they come late today, they come late tomorrow, they come late and they come late. So there's an aspect of, okay, I realize that you've been coming in late. I was just wondering what could be the problem, and how, and then they tell you this, they tell you that, they tell you that. And by the time you're asking that question, you're not asking in a way, a judgmental way. You have created that environment. You are compassionate. You are, this is your colleague. You're not just top-down kind of manager. This is your colleague. You're thinking that they have a family or they have life happens to all of us, So you're coming and say, okay, I realize that this and this and that is happening. So what do you think, what do you think you can do to be able to, to try and come on time, and then they'll tell you, and if they feel that they can hear, because, we all listen to each other. As in, we not always listen to each other, but if someone feels that they're being heard, they will now speak and they'll say, I've been having problems with transportation because I have to do this and I have to do this and I have to do this and I have to do this. And then you say, okay, so what do you think you can actually do, or how can we support you so that you can be able to come on time? Then they will come up with ideas. I think I will be able to do this, and I'll do this, and I'll do this, and I'll do that, and I'll do this. And then, you're like, okay. So then now your work is to follow up. Oh, did you manage to do this? If they come in late again, did you manage to do this? The things that they had said they're going to do. So that it's you're drawing things out of people. And why do we draw from people? As we say, human beings, when you tell them, you are telling them, actually, don't do what I'm telling you. And according to research, there's someone called Gordon who talks about the roadblocks of communication. When you tell people what to do, you order them, you command them, direct them. Or it's just for a period of time that they will do. But then they'll start just pushing you off and saying, there he goes again. Okay, yeah, let him, yeah. And right now, as we talk, the engagement percentage in America is very low in the place of work. There's an issue of employee engagement in the place of work, With that, you're thinking, how can we increase employee engagement? The employees come into the place of work and they sign a psychological contract it is not just the contract that you're signing. They're signing a psychological contract, and they're saying within themselves, they're thinking, I hope this is going to meet my psychological needs. And what are those psychological needs? The universal psychological needs, the need of competence, the need of relatedness, and the sense of belonging. It's a three-legged stool, according to DC and Ryan. So with the three of these things are met in an organization, someone is psychologically healthy, and they can buffer a lot of challenges that are coming. But if these three needs are not met, they couldn't be bothered. They will just be coming to work. They know that they have to pay the bills. And have you ever seen people, running out of an office when 5 o'clock hits they just dash out. Now they are going to do what they like doing, So there's an aspect of when the psychological needs of individuals are met in the place of work, they will be able to be engaged in the place of work, and they'll be able to perform. And so for me, thinking about motivational interviewing, I thought this actually fits in meeting the psychological needs of the people in the place of work. And how do we do that? By this skill of motivational interviewing. And where does it fit in? It fits into the servant leadership model. It may not fit in many other models, but it fits in like a glove in the servant leadership models. And being in Memphis is a place for world changers. When you're flying it, what do they tell you? Welcome to Memphis, the city of world changers. At the airport, the city of world changers. If you're in Memphis, you're here to change the world.
Absolutely. I love it. And that's why when you talk about the power of motivational interviewing, and just like you mentioned, how it ties to servant leadership and being a change maker, a world changer, there's so many applications that are extremely powerful. So this is one of those conversations we could go on forever. So we'll have to have you come back often and dive in deeper on these different areas of motivational interviewing and servant leadership. But Dr. Jemima Organ, thank you so much for all you do. And thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, and see you again, hopefully.
Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services is proud to power the City Current Show. We're a people-first company that protects what matters most, the families, businesses, and trailblazers that keep our community going. As one of the nation's top independent insurance firms, Higginbotham is a single-source solution for business insurance, employee benefits, HR services, and personal insurance that's customized for you. We're here to serve you, the people you care about, and your community. Call 866-377-1959 or visit higginbotham.com.